I want to go into talking about how we work with development aid and how we work with donations and funding structure. What is your experience so far with funding? Has it been easy for you to access major grants and major funding, or has there been an obstacle? What are the obstacles? How have you overcome the obstacles? Can you elaborate on that part of it?
Yeah, I can, absolutely. Having worked, having done the work that I've done for almost 20 years now, I truly do have something to share in that area. Because of course, yeah, I have over the years raised money to build the programs, to build the infrastructure, and actually I've decided, when I think about it, I've realized that I hate sounding like a beggar. I hate begging.
Yeah.
And I don't want to do it. And I don't want my kids to have this sense that everything good must be given by an outsider. And this notion of the given and the giver, and the unequal balancing of that relationship.
Yeah.
So what I decided developing is partnerships with organizations that were looking to empower people so that they don't have to keep relying on them. Because aid for me has been this thing about creating a dependency mind and heart set, and people always we kind of lose our sense of we have the power, we have what it takes to transform our circumstances. We think that someone else must come to do this for us. And I was also a lecturer of communication. From the texts, I could see how projects and successful projects were being reported. And I realized that a lot of these projects collapsed when the funders left, because first of all, they would not train anyone. That scenario has changed a lot now, but because now you see more and more African managers managing projects in Africa. But the freedom is not complete. And so what I realized is that unless someone was willing to work with me in such a way, for example, that the women would get a skill that would enable them to go and look for funds for themselves so that they could, their families could flourish, then I didn't want that kind of relationship. Yeah. I did some research and some work with some international organizations that fund women's work in developing, so-called developing nations. That's also an issue that I called. Yeah, and so I am not able to write proposals the way they want them to be written for the work that we've done, even though the work we've done has been very impactful. Mm-hmm. There is a way that these proposals are supposed to be written, and I don't want to write them that way, because I know the way that they have been done. I have talked with my friends who've gone that route. They don't really impact the people that money is meant to impact. Yeah. A lot of aid money, if you follow the discussions about how much money, for example, comes from your government, the Dutch government, and it comes to Kenya for certain projects. By the time that money gets to a woman that I work with, it is down to $1, even though probably at the beginning it was $1,000 to one person. I'm just talking these figures. They are not, so I realized that that is not the way I wanted to work.
Yeah.
Number two, I realized that I have a privilege because I am educated. I've gone to school. Because of the experiences that I've gone through, I have traveled internationally, I've gone to school internationally, I have a PhD, I have 2 master's degrees. I have this program that I have that is amazing. I have some experiences that they haven't had. And I have to be very careful with these gifts that I've been given and how I choose to use them. If I use them to make small other people or to try and show how special or different I am, then that's not right. That's not the right use of the opportunities that have been given. And so when the expert comes, and they don't listen to the person on the ground, they just think that they are the ones who know all the answers for a context which they haven't lived in. I knew that a lot of NGOs that work with women have problems because the women come and tell me, I left that program for this, and this reason. Because they would be, if they're living with HIV and AIDS, they would tell them, where were you when you got the disease? Why do you have the disease? It's like they blame the victims because the systems always blame the victim. And the solutions that we've created are always focusing on the victims, not the perpetrators of the circumstances that have caused these women or children to be vulnerable. So I realized that I wanted to overturn that mentality and focus the idea of development to regeneration, because regeneration is a process of igniting a fire in a person to recognize who they are and to recognize their power and to end the victim syndrome and dependency syndrome. And I'm telling you, out of the 95 women who we were talking about building the children's home with, less than 5 have died from HIV and AIDS, and many people have died. And all of them today are taking care of themselves and their children. I have women who couldn't afford school uniform, being able to educate those kids through university, through the skills that they learned. And just recently, I took one of them to another part of Kenya to visit her daughter, who we supported in primary school and now has gotten married there. And she finished a degree course. And I just supported that lady in covering the first year of that kid's education. And she did the rest. So to answer your question, if development is not enabling people to end the dependency syndrome, building trust across these partnerships, if it's a top-down kind of process, I'm not able to work with it. So my fundraising has been people to people. Because I realized that building relationships is more important than getting money. Because I want an American, I want someone from Europe to also come and see Africa through my eyes. I want them to come and see I'm doing something to transform the circumstances in our lives. I don't need help. I just need like-minded thinkers who want us to transform our world, mine and theirs. Because even in Europe and in America, there are things that need to change. But because they're always looking outside to help others, they've forgotten to help themselves. And now Africa can help them.
I really like the point you made about if the development is not enabling people to leave the systems they're in. I think that's a very important conversation to have at a much wider platform as well, because we are at this junction now with development aid and humanitarian work, where we have to start looking at how do we really make an impact where it matters in a longer lasting term versus is our impact only short-term solutions. And unfortunately, these seems to be a lot of short-term solutions that are masked to appear to be longer term, but do not address any of the root causes of the situations. And this also goes to what you're saying about the women being empoweredness, the women being the women being able even the system. No, I think it's a beautiful example that the lady was, she just needed a 1 year break, just a 1 year to get her children going so she could just focus on sorting out the rest. And I think this is a really important part of this conversation of the aid, that get the people the first year, just get them going. And if you can't get them going, there's no amount of help or funding or experts or decision makers in the West will be able to fill that gap. So I think that's I absolutely agree with that, and might be a little biased, but absolutely agree. I think that's the right approach. We should have a wider global conversation with it. You asked me to remind you as well about the women empoweredness, so we'll get to that.
Yeah, all right.
I want to know, could you also talk to me about the overall agenda? So these kids are now going to be going to school. Some of them are graduating, and I watched the video. I'll make sure that we post it on our website as well, because I think it's a wonderful example of how these kids have grown up, have graduated, have come back to give back, but also leading their own lives. And I think that's a perfect example of people just need a break. So I'll make sure we post it on our site. Yeah.
Yeah, people need a break.
People need a break. It's, we all go through challenges, and I think it's naive to say that just, no, they need this long-term thing. No, just give them 1 year of concentrated assistance and people flourish. But coming back to Impact Direct as well, and our collaboration, I think it's also beautiful that you said that you're looking at people-to-people connections versus donor versus recipient relationship. And I the way you said it is absolutely perfect, and I can't wait to start tweeting about it. But yeah, so with Impact Direct, this is obviously from our perspective a partnership. We don't believe in top-down approach. We don't believe in, we will tell you what to do with your money, how to spend it, because we're not on the grounds. We are based, most of us, in Europe. So I have no idea how much a bag of cement is in Kenya. I have no idea how long it takes. I don't even know how to plant a banana. You just said that earlier, and I was like, wait, how do people plant a banana?
That's an opportunity.
I've never seen a banana being planted, so die hard sissy girl here. But we have no idea how things work on the ground. And because we don't know, we have 60 years plus in development work of some successes. There's some fantastic projects out there, but also a lot of failures because we don't listen, we don't engage, and most importantly, we don't operate from a position of partnership. And from Impact Direct, of course, our entire ethos is about how do we ensure that we are partnership based, firstly. Secondly, how do we ensure that those that want to give to a project also feel a sense of ownership of the project? And I want to know from your perspective, how do you ensure that there's also a sense of ownership from people working with you, your partners, in the boys' dormitory? When you said that I have brothers, I was like, oh, what can my brothers do? So how do you ensure that there's a sense of ownership that people have with the project and vice versa?
That's an excellent question. That our project is different.
Yeah.
I spoke with the kids, and I said, we are supposed to build a boys' dorm. Where do you want us to build it? And then I gave them the scenarios that we have. Mm-hmm. And then they had to choose where they wanted it to be. And so we went to that site because that is where they chose it to be. So now the boys and the girls have to negotiate, because the girls are saying, oh, we also want to go there because it's really very scenic and beautiful.
Yeah.
So first of all is to talk to people and to listen to them and to give them the options that are there and allow them to make the choice themselves, so that the kids will never say that, oh, mom is the one who took us to Gibraltar. When they make the decision to go there, they will own the project and they will own the problems, the challenges, and the opportunities that come with it. And I'm telling you, the way these kids have worked this year, I used to say, do you want to stop for a week? I mean, because they gave it their everything, and they worked from Monday to Saturday. They had only one day off until I said, please take a weekend off. Take Monday off if you want, even take a whole week if you want. So that's ownership. I don't have to hold a club or whatever over their head so that they work. They did the work. They knew it was their dorm. They knew it was their project, and they wanted it to be very nice, and they wanted to be what they did in 2020. And number two, the side projects that they have decided to start there, they have rabbits, they have goats, they have cows, and they have chickens. All that has been their choice. And they just have to tell me what they want to do. Some of them have some pocket money that they have saved, and they will say, add us this amount of money, and we'll go and buy our rabbits, our chickens, or whatever it is that they want to do. Now they even have brought some pigs. And they're the ones who are building for them. They're the ones who are feeding them. So I don't have to do all these things for them. Ownership is about giving someone an opportunity to see they have what it takes to meet their needs. And when one knows that you can see their potential, you recognize it, and you're allowing them. In fact, one of the kids today was telling me when we were driving back home from that place, he was telling me, since I came to this place, it's because you've allowed me the freedom to be who I want to become.
Yeah.
And I said, yeah, even in the homes where I grew up, the normal homes, you know, we were never given that kind of freedom. But because I know where I've come from and who I am and what I want a kid to experience, I've been able to create an environment where I say, this is what you've been given.
Yeah.
Choose what to do with it. And that's a big deal to give a child. But I say to them that we are dancing with life. We are not fighting with life. Life is a gift. Let's dance with it. Life is not a punishment. Challenges are not a problem. My response or reaction to the problems is the problem, especially if I'm reacting instead of responding to it. Challenges are opportunities calling to be invited in. They're opportunities for us to learn and to be better. And I want them to not be afraid to make mistakes because they are learning. And I'm telling you, they've done amazing things. They've just been amazing kids. 63 kids, 8 months. This is 9 months now, December.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, you wouldn't believe we haven't had any major issues these 9 months. So, and I credit that to them. Of course, I also credit the space I've held for them and how I've held it for them, but also their willingness to step into it. Because if they didn't choose to step into it, I would be holding it for nothing, you know? So it's something that we've done together. It's a dance that we've done together.
Yes. And are we also having this dance with the donors that are, I don't want to call them donors, but the partners that are coming through Impact Direct as well? Are they part of the dance? And how do we have the dance, or how do you engage with them as well? We see how wonderfully the boys have taken on the project and breathing life into it, and I think that's a beautiful things they've done, and I look forward to seeing it. So how do we then also invite the partners that can't come, of course, to Kenya?
Yeah.
How do we ensure that they also have a sense of ownership or a sense of a responsibility towards the boys, the house, and Amani?
That's a very good question, because I struggle with that, because my attitude is you desire, to support a child.
Yeah.
Support that child in a way that enables that child to be their best self, or the person that is working with that child to support that child, so that that child thrives. What I was saying is that mainstream aid seems to be given with, here we say strings attached, but it's like there are gaps so that we don't succeed and then we are blamed for the failure of the project. For example, if you come and you do a project here and I don't know how you are raising funds, I didn't know how you are accounting for the money and putting systems in place to enable the project to thrive, and then you leave and then you say, oh, this is what needs to be done, my time over here is over, and I have no clue, the project will definitely fail. We have a lot of elephant projects in Kenya even. So there has to be a willingness to support in such a way that that thing will succeed. So the dance that I invite our partners to dance with us is to trust. Yeah. You don't trust that me, a Kenyan, a woman, an African, can actually run a successful project. So even when some of them come here, they are like, so who did you do this with? It's as if I don't have a brain. It's as if I need to have, for example, a man or a white person or a person of this other color to be here so that this thing runs. I need trust, so because I trust myself, first and foremost. And I don't trust myself because someone told me to. I do it because I know it's the right thing to do. Yeah. You know, the right thing to do. So trust. Number two, drop the mentality that you're coming to help helpless people. Because there's no one who is helpless and no one who is hopeless, except the systems that we've created to trap people so that they become hopeless and helpless. No one needs to be that, because everybody has what it takes when they're given the right information and they reform their circumstances. Yeah, absolutely. So I invite a coming to listening to each other, to listen to each other, to learn from each other, because even us in this place that we are, there are lessons for people in the West. Yeah. There are lessons for a donor to learn that will transform, totally change their lives. So listen, have an open heart and open mind, trust. And you know, we are building relationships. Peace in the world will be achieved through knowing each other. You know, like I look into your eye and into your eyes and I see the humanity in you. Yeah. And you do the same for me, because we are human together. We are here, we interdependent. We are so intricately linked that whatever separation we have tried to create now is killing us and killing the systems that we've put in place to make the world work, but it's not working until we discover the Utu-ness, the interdependence, and the interconnectedness that we've been brought to this world with. And most importantly, love for self and for the other. That's all there is. Love. When love is there, all these things that I've talked about will flow. Yeah. And thrive. Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. I can do this for hours with you. I have just two more questions. One, who inspires you? Mm-hmm. Who do you learn from, and what are the examples or lessons you've learned from them? How do you actually, let me make it three. If there were three lessons you had to give your children, just three in life, what would you give them? And lastly, can we also talk about the woman empoweredness? I am really curious about. Let me talk about the empoweredness first, because empowerment is what someone does for you. Yeah. Empoweredness is what you choose to do with that gift that you've been given. Yeah. Empoweredness is about taking charge of my life, taking responsibility of my life, like when something happens, I'm not blaming someone else. I'm taking full responsibility of my life. Empoweredness is the courage to look within me and recognize, use it to transform my life so that I can be that transformation for someone else.
Yeah.
It's not about me, myself, and I. It's about us together. 3 lessons that I would tell my kids. Love yourself, know who you are, serve a cause larger than yourself.
That's a good one. I think all adults can learn from it as well, actually. It's not just for kids. I should tell all of my friends too. So love yourself.
Yeah, love yourself, know who you are, serve a cause larger than yourself.
Ask as well, what are things, the 3 lessons we can also tell donors, so we can continue the dance with the partners on the site. Yes.
So the other 3 are also relevant to them, but I would also say trust that what you give will be used to transform the life of the child or the people that your heart is, calling to transform. So it's trust, but also love, trust, respect, and serve a cause larger than oneself. Yeah. So don't give because it makes you feel big and great and whatever. That's okay too. Own that, but also give because you know that it's going to make a difference in someone else's life, and it will make our world a better place. Yeah. Like the people who've supported our projects here, they are not just donors, they are my friends. Yeah. They are my friends. I love them, they love me, they love us, they love the work. And actually most of the people who have supported us, at least those who are in our board, and I encourage people who supported us to actually come and visit us, because then you understand the mindset. Because I say, some people tell me, why don't I give you the money that I would have used for my plane ticket? And their coming also transforms their lives. And that is important also. Yeah. My work here is not just about transforming Kenyans' lives. It is for a world, for world peace, for all of us to know that if we're going to attain world peace, it's going to come from each one of us. And it is when I look into your eyes and I see the humanity in you. I have to trust, I have to love, I have to respect, and I have to know that my calling is to serve a cause bigger than myself. And that can be true for anyone.
Absolutely. The question I had, I recall it now. Who inspires you, and what have you learned from them? What are the lessons you have gained from them? I am curious, who inspires you? Because I'm sure you inspire hundreds of people. So it's like asking God, who inspires you, God? So who inspires you?
Okay. So for me, the first one is Professor Wangari Maathai. She's Kenyan. Yeah. She's Kenyan. She's still Kenyan, even though she passed on. She was an amazing woman, and she went through so much because of culture, because of her education, because of her intelligence, and because she chose to live her feminine voice. Yeah. She went through so much trouble in Kenya. You can read her books or Google her story. Yeah. But she stood strong for what she believed in. And she believed in, and she did amazing things. And so she is my inspiration. She was very simple. She was very simple, but she was deep. Yeah. And for me, that was the most important thing. It is to be true to myself and to my voice and to my power, and to use it every day for transforming my life and that of others. I actually say I am love and light, and I want to be that so that someone else can see their love and light.
Yeah.
And it's not about just talking, but it's in being. You know, how do I live my life so that someone else can see certain things are possible?
Yeah.
So she was my role model. I learned a lot from her. I've read some of her books. Yeah. And someone else who has inspired me over time, a lot of people who were in the independence movement.
Yeah.
They haven't written their own books or things like that, but just to imagine choosing to go and live in the forests, in holes, you know, in caves,
yeah,
being hunted for fighting for your country, and then you're called rebels or communists or whatever names we give people who are different than us or who are fighting for their independence. Yeah. So those freedom fighters really inspire me, especially the women who chose to risk to stand with the men in the forests. Yeah. My kids really inspire me because they've gone through such challenging times in their lives, and they're just amazing children. Yeah. And so they inspire me every day with their courage to grow and to learn so that they can also give back and make a difference in our world.
Yeah.
My mom inspires me because she also, as a woman who lived through patriarchy, she did amazing things, and she is the strongest woman that I know. Yeah. So there are many more, but I'll just mention those for now because I'm also a spiritual person, and I'm reading a lot of books from spiritual people like Ernest Holmes. I just love his books. Yeah. Martin Luther King. When I did my social justice studies, I really got inspired by the work and the courage, and all the women who, like the lady who ran the underground rescue system for African slaves in the US. What's her name?
Harriet Tubman.
The Tubman. And I mean, if you watch the movie or read the story, it's just like, oh my gosh. So many.
You're mentioning people that have all found causes that are bigger than them. So I think it's beautiful that you so strongly believe in it, but also make sure that you live by it yourself and you give it to the kids. And I am in awe. I have no questions. I have so many questions. I have no questions. It's just, but I'm absolutely blessed to have this conversation with you, and I'm looking forward to a very long partnership, one way or another.
That's beautiful. And come and see us.
I will be. My Kenya is extension of South Sudan, or South Sudan's extension of Kenya, but we're stuck together. So yes, I'll definitely be making my way there. And I just want to for the last thing as well. I would like for people, of course, to contribute to the building of the boys' dormitory and to all other projects that you are working on. What is the one message we want to give them as well? Apart from trust, I think that's a fundamental thing that I and we at the Impact Direct are very much strong on it, that there has to be trust in that conversation. But what's the one thing we also want to encourage people to give?
No, that I'm not going to give you then the answer that you expect. The question I have for them to really think deeply about is, why do you want to give? Because we are always asking us what I want to tell donors.
Yes, absolutely. That's
and I feel it's time to also ask the question, yes, you can hear my voice, you can hear me asking for support. Yeah. And a more fundamental question is, why do you want to give? Because when you know that answer, then you know that I don't have to ask. You don't have to ask me that question.
Yeah. I think I like this answer very much, and I was hoping you'd go that way because it ties back into trust, love, respect, and also finding a cause that's bigger than yourself. And why is it? Now, if you know yourself, you will also know that you're doing this to feel good, and that's okay. That's your business. But if you're doing it because you have a bigger purpose outside of yourself, then that's also a conversation that,
needs to be had. Yeah.
I'm really glad you went that way because that's fundamentally what you've been saying throughout this entire conversation. And again, I'm so thankful. Thank you so much. I'm not going to keep you for much longer. So if there's any last message you would like to give, or anything you would like to say, it's yours.
Just that I believe in this life. Each one of us has come for a reason and a purpose, and it is paramount for each one of us, especially now, with all the puzzlement and whatever you say that word that COVID has brought, to really look within and see what that calling is, and to just work together to love each other and to make the world a better place, because we can do it. We can do it.
Yeah.
Life is not a chore. Life is not a punishment. Life is a gift. Let's dance with life, with each other. Dance.
Thank you so much. Absolutely accept. Thank you so much. I wish you a wonderful night, and let's talk soon again.
Thank you so much.